What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Novichenko Whips YouTube channel. Today we are reviewing an interesting car, at least interesting to me. I have never owned an Audi. I've always liked Audis and I've never had the opportunity to buy one. I have no clue why, but it's all in the future for me, I'm sure. I really like Audis. This is my first time driving one of these. I think this is a B7.5. It's a 2013 Audi Allroad, so it's based on the Audi A4, maybe I think A4 platform. This has the 2-liter turbo, probably DSG transmission. I'm not even sure how many gears because I just started driving this, but this car is kind of like a loaner for me right now when I'm getting while I'm getting some work done on my other car. And so I'm quite impressed with the initial, just in general, the seat, the look and feel of everything. I know they sell, the S's and the RS Audis. I've driven an RS7 and that thing was a beast. I was looking to buy it, possibly. That didn't work out. So again, let's take a quick look at this thing. It's fully stock Allroad. I'll get some shots on the outside for you soon, but pretty much I'm gonna take a left here. We're probably just gonna cruise on the freeway towards home. We'll definitely get home sooner than on the busy back roads, probably like 4:30. I love the steering wheel. This is an upgrade steering wheel, the owner told me. So the factory one didn't have the paddle shifters. These feel super nice. This car feels awesome. I don't know what it is that German cars have their own look and feel, like the new Mercedes, the new BMWs, the new Audis. They all feel different. Audi always had this appeal to me with their interiors. Any Audi that I've ever been in, especially the newer ones, probably like 2012 and up, they've just been super cool. I love the dials. I love the steering feel. They're Quattro, so this one's a Quattro all-wheel drive. Should be an awesome winter car. Audi is the original, right, German automaker that did Quattro and was super successful in rallying. But let's do a quick review of this thing, see how we like it. We're going to kind of get a driving review and then just the exterior, interior throughout this video. I am clueless on what all these buttons do, so maybe that's a thing. Coming from BMW, I'm not exactly sure as to what everything does. It has CarPlay, HVAC controls. I'm sure a lot of stuff goes through these steering wheel buttons, but other than that, I'm not sure. It's higher mileage, 165, but the car is extremely clean. You'll see on the outside and the inside, extremely clean out here. Let's click around. Does it have like different driving modes? So that looks just like vehicle settings, audio sources, auxiliary. Yeah, again, has probably sport mode on the shifter that I'm used to for the previous Audis that I've driven. Everything feels really nice. The buttons are different from BMW and Mercedes. Like, for example, I can't figure out how to adjust the steering column, but I don't mind. I'll figure that out later. It might be through the center console or something, or it might be through this on the left side. I'm just feeling around and I can't find anything. Again, usually there's a little stubby on some of the other cars that I'm used to driving. Initial impression, yeah, it's another little 2-liter direct injection engine, but it has plenty of get up and go, probably due to the good gearing on these transmissions. The shifts, let me shift a little bit. It's an automatic, but shifts very briskly, very quickly, just like you would expect off of any 2013 plus German car. So I had a 2013 335i with the ZF 8-speed, also very, very snappy. I can tell the sportiness level of this maybe is not the main goal, as let's say BMW is built to be a driving machine and to be sporty first. This has like a sporty feel to it, but the steering's much lighter. The suspension is medium stiff. It's good for probably an A4. The Allroad is lifted. compared to regular A4s, because they want you to take some trails, maybe not off-roading, but you could go, you know, on some unpaved, unbeaten path, up to the mountains to do your snowboarding or skiing, you know, go over the pass here in Washington, right? We have the Stevens Pass that everyone goes over to Eastern Washington. So this thing would definitely be what you take out there. Yeah, picks up okay. There's not like crazy power, but sound deadening's great. We're going 44, 45, like everything's super mellow in here. The steering is great. I don't feel any torque steer. I know that's also probably a byproduct of this just being a newer car. Some vehicles, all-wheel drive, you can feel the front-wheel drive enable or engage, and then you'll feel the steering wheel stiffen up, and it's not always proportionate to your like steering angle and throttle application. I know that they do a lot of cool torque vectoring in these Volkswagen Group cars where you don't feel any of that. So far, so good. I'm liking it. A little dip in the road, see how it handles it? Yeah, absolutely fine. We'll try to get on the freeway later, maybe get a little bit of a acceleration, see how it does, how it sounds. When he started this car for me, I at first thought, like, is this a diesel? But it's just these direct injection engines with their high pressure fuel pumps and direct injectors. They are quite clickety clackety, but I'm used to it with my other cars. Very comfortable car. I know I'm gonna get an Audi in the future. I just definitely more of a performance geared one, so you can modify, but this is a great car. Like wagon, it has a box up top. I can't hear any wind noise from it, but we'll see when we get up to freeway speeds. But everything is so comfortable. I'm impressed. The A4 quality is pretty good. Again, I was impressed with my 3 Series in general for just the build quality and things that I liked. Yeah. Oh, okay. Third gear has a little bit. It comes on very smoothly in terms of power, so I'll give it that. But I'll catch you on the freeway. Here we are cruising home. So honestly, for a little 2-liter and all-wheel drive quattro, it's effortlessly cruising at right above 2,000 RPM, like 80 miles per hour. And with the airbox, like a storage box on top of the car. Honestly, I'm quite impressed. The car is very quiet. There's some road noise, some wind noise, but it's wonderful. But I'm just more impressed by how, with the 8-speed DSG, or I think that's what it is in here, it's cruising effortlessly at this speed, and like it doesn't downshift if you add a little throttle, you know, to accelerate. For some reason, it felt like in my 3 Series, cruising at this speed, it preferred to be like in 7th gear instead of 8th. Maybe it was the drone when I had that car that kind of annoyed me. I'm sure the car had the torque and the oomph, but I guess this is the beauty of stock cars. If you're just looking for a daily that's going to be ultra quiet, you know, don't mess with the exhaust. Super simple. I don't know if the exhaust would sound any good in this 2-liter, but definitely enjoy how quiet it is. Good morning, everyone. Let's get a quick morning overview and cold start on the Audi A4 Allroad. So here she is. I really like this B7.5, I think, design. The headlights look nice. The whole car itself is just a great design. The proportions, the wheels. Let's go ahead and jump in here and start it up. Definitely a great winter car, considering the package and the quattro. Check out the back. Then you got a huge trunk. We'll pop that open and see what's going on in there. Yeah, I do like this design. It would be so cool if they made like a S or RS version of this wagon. That would definitely be sweet. I wonder if this detached while I was driving yesterday. I'm not 100% sure. It looks like there's a plug, but this thing is not secured, so I'll have to tell my friend that came off. I wasn't driving too dramatically, but I did have to slam the brakes once or twice because there's traffic on the freeway. That wasn't the greatest. Yeah, big trunk. Looks super. Oh, wow, you can do that. You want things up there. Never seen something like that before. Very quiet car, of course. It's a little 2-liter Porsche box. Gotta have that. Yeah, the box is great. Like, even in the going, 80 yesterday, I couldn't really feel it's there. I'm sure the car is even more brisk without it. Overall, great looking car. Check out how easy it would be to do a swapped downpipe on this thing. 4 bolts right there, a couple bolts down there. Get your catalytic converter out, slap a tune on this thing, and probably be pretty quick for the little 4-banger that it is. There is, what I like, is a place to probably measure your engine oil, but there's no actual dipstick on it. Although when I pull it out, I do hear a vacuum, so that's good. Good compression. This is interesting to me. I've never seen this. Looks like a coolant line. Or, no, actually, wait, that's the charge air. I think that's, so you get turbocharger on this side. It probably pressurizes air into an intercooler, and then this is where the charge air comes through. It's a smart idea because the further out, the colder the air stays until it gets into the engine. But it is like a flexible charge pipe, rubber one. So easy to reach stuff. Oil filter, oil fill, drain on the bottom. Compact engine, 2-liter TFSI. I think that stands for something about cam timing and direct injection. These newer engines, you know, they're compact and they're efficient. I like it for what it is. It's not crazy power, but cool technology. Happy that it's clear out today. Getting a nice cool drive to work. It's 45 degrees outside. I could definitely commute this Audi Allroad daily. I hear wind noise from the airbox above me. Check this out. So if I open the moonroof, you can see the airbox up there. It's kind of a cool feeling, cool experience. We're coming up on some dips here in the road. And the suspension, although, you know, the car is lifted higher than a standard A4 of this body style, it feels great. It's not too stiff, but it's also not floaty soft. I think they may have just retained their normal suspension characteristics and just lifted the car slightly higher. But let's do a quick launch. I have this nice area. Let me see if I can slightly open the roof. Put you in sport mode. I'm not gonna brake torque it, just kind of gonna mash the throttle. The torque exists. Let's close that roof actually. So the torque mostly exists between 2 and 5K, probably more so 3 to 5K. That's where the little turbo, it's not a tiny turbo, but it is still a small turbo. That's where the turbo comes on power and you feel it. After 5K, although the red line is above 6, I believe, you don't really get much power after that. And that's seems very similar to me with these small 4-cylinder German cars. I actually owned years ago a C250 coupe. It was a pretty cool little car, also 4-cylinder, I think a 1.8 or 2.0 from Mercedes with a turbo. I even threw JB4 on it, Juice Box 4, and it felt like this car. Definitely throwing the little tune on there made it come alive. One thing that I didn't like about that car is there wasn't really great fuel economy for the 4-cylinder because it was still a heavy car. And then after I threw the tune on there, it tried to, you know, accelerate quickly and do things a little bit differently in terms of performance, but it still probably drank like a full 6, if I dare say 8-cylinder, but probably not like the 8-cylinder. But if you drove it sparingly, I know it was fine. That car did make more of that direct injection noise, kind of sounded like a tractor or a little bit of a diesel. This car, I think it has better, at least sound deadening under the hood, where I don't hear as much of that. So let me close the roof again, just to make sure we get all of our insulation. The shifts are pretty crisp. These paddles, they're a little bit, the paddles feel great, but the click, there's no direct click. It's kind of just like, it feels plastic, like you're just pushing on a piece of plastic, and then there's a you know, impress point or ingress point, and then you let go and it comes back, but there's no click. Even on my 335i, I had a more direct click feeling, although those paddles didn't look as sweet as these do. I think these are add-ons to the factory paddles, so all of this is an add-on, the metal piece, to just the regular factory plastic paddle. The steering is light, so it feels great for an all-wheel drive car, but it's not as performance geared, and I haven't pushed, of course, the car hard enough at all to experience any form of understeer. And I presume that's just because this car doesn't accelerate that hard. You could floor it mid-turn, and I'm sure it will grip fine because the limits of the tires are not yet met in terms of power. But yeah, downshifts, very smooth. This is third, and we're doing kind of like this big bend. So in third, like, you give it half throttle, and if you're above 3K, the torque comes in nicely. You're not afraid of these dips. Woo! It's brisk. It's nice on these twisties. The straight line power is not there. But again, that's a difference, right? Yeah, I think this car, with how easy the access is to that downpipe, you could do a downpipe in a tune. This thing will wake up a little bit, have a little more growl, and have a little more pickup over this factory feel. But even for a factory non-S, this is a non-S car, right? They have the A4, this is the Allroad built on top of the A4, and then they have the S4, and then the RS4. This is pretty sporty. I'll have to review more Audis on this channel, get in some S's. An RS would be awesome. I've test driven an RS7 again, and that thing was a beast. I loved it. Steering direct, it felt so solid. Even this, everything feels solid. No creaks and rattles. The only wind noise, again, is just from the additional box up top. Or following a logging truck, I'll see if there's a safe place to pass. What I find myself doing, for example, in the manual mode of the transmission, it keeps your gear, current gear, unless you hit the kick down button at the end of your throttle pedal. I find myself, for example, if you're like in third and right above 3K, if you push it all the way past the kick down, it does downshift to second, but there's no more power up there. So it downshifts to second and it's like above 5K. It's almost better to not hit the kick down and stay in third and drive, you know, pull out with the torque that the car has, so to speak. So like we're in fourth, so let's put it like in fourth. Right now it's at 3K. I definitely would not use the kick down. So here, never mind, it did kick down. Okay, still it's, you want to overtake briskly, and there's enough to overtake, but you know, if it's a tight spot, it makes you a little nervous. Like in that spot, I'm used to in my Beamers, like you're like overtaking in 2-3 seconds and you're done, right? You're out of the oncoming lane. I feel like that's safer, especially determined by, you know, visibility up front. Underpowered cars, you almost feel like you question it like, all right, when am I going to get past this truck so that I'm out of the way and, you know, out of any kind of danger. But again, the trade-off here is economy. I don't know how reliable these 4 cylinders are on the Audis, possibly good. I know like the BMW 4-bangers, they struggle with their timing chain issues and their guide issues. Those things fall apart and they get all clackety and boom, you know, things go kaboom. But again, it's a trade-off. I'm sure these new engines are way better than the old 4 cylinders that they used to put in all the Volkswagen groups, 2-liter, 1.3, 1.8-liter turbos. But yeah, it's a nice car. I would totally consider getting a Audi in the future for the channel. I would definitely want a sportier version, something like an S, or it would be super cool to find an RS. But I know that Audis, they at least what I've been searching around, every time I go to purchase or find a vehicle, they hold their value, at least the newer desirable ones. Yes, you find the older S4s, you know, like the B4, or I think it's B5 body style. You find them sometimes for cheap, but they need a lot of work, you know, and they're in bad shape. So depends on what you're looking for. I've seen RSs definitely stay up there in terms of value. I totally just realized that there's actually a way to turn on sportier shifting. All you do is pull the shifter back, because it says drive/sport, but then there's a downward arrow. So you can see on the cluster it's a D, and then it's an S, and it downshifts. Let's see if it's a little more brisk in this mode. I'm sure the shifts are just a little more, you know, snappy, harsh, direct, and then it just keeps your RPMs a little higher. But we'll see. I'll try to get to a nice straight where we can give you another 0 to 60. I'm trying to get a good feel for it. But it drives awesome. I just drove home again, and yeah, that box, I wouldn't have a box. It looks cool, but I'm sure it affects MPGs, and I'm sure that it like just any side gust or wind, it just shakes the car and directs it. And I look at it and the box is like doing this, and I guess I'd be more cautious. But yeah, let's slow down here a bit, and we're gonna give a little go. It's not gonna be really rowdy or anything, but I'm sure this car could wake up a little bit with some exhaust work, if that's what someone would want. I'm sure people don't really do that. I do see it shifting right after 6. Probably, again, there's no use in going higher in the RPM band because all the torque is between 3 and 5. What can I say? I would drive one of these. It doesn't blow your socks off, but it's very comfortable. I love these seats. Super comfortable, super warm. It's a great, cool, you know, dad car. Me being a dad, I would rock it. It's a wagon. I don't know, it's something about dads and liking wagons, or estate cars as they call them in Europe. Yeah, the only issue I've seen on this car is a slight flickering on the cluster. It might just be a sign of age and mileage. Every now and then it'll flicker a little bit with the light, and then it seems like the trip computer doesn't exactly work, so I don't know my exact gas mileage, but all the driving we've done back and forth 2 days, I've only gone down a quarter of the tank, so pretty efficient. The amount of flooring it that I've done in this car, in any 6-cylinder or 8, you'd be at half a tank or less now. Would recommend. Let's see if she can redeem herself a little bit. I'd say 0 to 60 is right over 5 seconds. I'll check the specs for you, but it's a great car, great daily. Really like it. Wanted to give you one evening walk around to show the lights. The lighting's not bad, it's not LED, but I think xenon headlights probably just need to be cleaned out a bit. It's got the fogs. I've always liked how the Audis and other German cars have rear fog lights. Let's see if on the Audi it does it on both sides. Yep, so the additional rear fogs, that's kind of cool. Very sleek car overall.